Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Here it is, the one Rampart guide to rule them all. I've played Rampart so much, I've learned so many little unique tips and tricks, I've implemented a lot of things into my playstyle that I think are quite unique that you won't really find in many other videos, so this really is the ultimate guide to take Rampart from some camping rubbish noob legend to something that's really effective, really aggressive, really good in 1v3s, really good as a movement legend, just overall just a lot better than people think, and there's no better time to play her than now, just before she gets a buff in the mid-season update in Season 10. So there's a bunch of chapters you can skip here and there, or if you want to learn basics like door placements, or how to use her effectively with movement, or how to use her turret, just skip around here and there, or watch the whole thing through to really get a good understanding of Rampart and her full potential. Let's jump into it. There'll be a few different categories to talk about, door blocking, general wall combat, and wall movement. After that, we'll go into the ultimate, and for the passive, I just have two things to say. I'd say don't use LMGs just because you feel you have to, but definitely consider using the L-Start. It has more ammo before overheating, and also has faster reload if it does overheat. It's also getting buffed in Season 10, and of course, the Rampage is coming out soon too, and I think it's going to be pretty incredible on Rampart. Now let's talk about walls, right? Rampart's biggest thing is her walls. They allow you to turn 3v1s into 3 1v1s. They give you enough damage to knock players quickly, and it just completely changes the dynamics of fighting against full squads because of that extra damage and the ability to sort of block player movement. The first thing we should talk about is keybinds. The extra character utility button in the settings is the bind for picking up her walls, and you'll want to change it to something that allows you to pick up her walls as fluidly as possible. I like mouse scroll down on PC, but on controller, think about something that's easy to reach, or use paddles if you have those. So let's just jump straight into some wall tips. We're going to talk about door blocking first. Door blocking is a huge thing about Rampart. Playing around doors and buildings is going to be one of the best opportunities you have for just completely slowing down player movement and creating 1v1s. So obviously, the most obvious tip here, place walls against doors to block the door. When you place a wall on the door, what it's going to do, it's going to kind of force players to think, are they going to try and push around the other way to another entrance? Are they going to try and kick the door? If they kick the door, then you're just obviously going to be able to shoot them down. Are they going to blow the door down with a grenade? In that case, you can step away from the door and get ready to shoot them as they try and tumble and fumble over your door placements. There's so much that you can do in this time frame where a player's trying to figure out how to deal with your door, because at the end of the day, a wall with a door is going to slow down combat enough for you to really have so much opportunities for positioning, movement, and just overall kind of playing out a situation, right? Now, let's say there's a player on the other side of the door, right? You can actually kick that door as the wall builds. You can stand on your wall, and then when you kick, it's going to kick the door instead of your wall. After the second kick, hold crouch and move backwards, and you'll be behind your wall just as the door breaks. You can then shoot down the player. They're really not going to expect this little movement. Like, the timing is perfect, right? 2 kicks is about the exact same time it takes for the amped wall to build. So you place your wall, let it build, kick the door, go backwards, and bam, you got a free kill. This is a really good sort of way to get a quick 1v1, and then you can either rotate around to another entrance, or figure out things from there. We know that people can place walls straight against the door, but let's talk about another thing I like to call the door wedge technique. And Fragment's kind of streamer building or the hot drop building is a great example of this. You can put a door on the zipline, and as people come up the zipline, they'll actually get stuck. It's really hard to time it right that you can like sort of crouch through the air to go through this. Well, so many people, like 90% of players, will get stuck on this door as they try to tumble through it. Sorry, wall. I'm going to say doors a lot. I mean walls, right? So you place one here on the zip line, and then you actually place another one just a little further away. And what this one is for actually blocking this door, right? This is a door that I kind of call an escape door, because what you're doing is you're wedging the door so that it can't be opened from the outside, but it can be opened from the inside, and there's enough space for you to leave. So if you get pushed like crazy, you can just open that door, close it behind you, and lock it with another amped wall, and then rotate somewhere else, right? Or if someone tries to push you on this door, then you can quickly pick up your walls and take a route through the zipline and just rotate through the building. Like, you have so much freedom for movement by using this door wedge technique. There's a lot of buildings where it's really effective, but honestly, the streamer building, it's so good. There's going to be carnage going on around you, and you can just sit here and rack up so many kills. So we just talked about that. We've talked about just the basics of placing doors. and walls together. We've talked about kicking doors as they build, sorry. We've talked about the door wedge technique. We've talked about zipline blocking. And another thing is just generally take into consideration your doors and how they are on the floor. Sorry, walls, right? You can have 5 down at any time. So place down them as a reserve, because you can place down 5 and have 3 on cooldown ready to go. If you need to, you can pick up the ones already down there. It replenishes your cooldown so long as they haven't taken damage. So just keep this in mind. Make sure your walls are there ready to use. You can just stack them up against a wall or something so that they're not being damaged. Another thing is to always leave an escape. Let's say you're set up in a building, right? If you create a situation where you're allowing players to funnel through one entrance, but there's no escape for you, you're screwed. You're going to be stuck in that room, right? So definitely, sure, create a funnel that forces players through a certain location, right? You're going to expect them to come there, but be ready for an escape route, because otherwise you're just going to end up in that room stuck with them. It's going to be pretty messy. Now, there's some doors where things get a little tricky. There might be ledges on door frames, for example, in Olympus, in estates. Recognize these locations, because when you place a wall on these doors, players are going to just go through them very easily. They're not going to fumble over the wall like they do in other locations. It doesn't quite fit flat against the door like it should do. Another thing that you don't want to do is have multiple entrances where you've got all your walls up and you're sitting further away. All of these entrances are sort of pointing towards you, right? As soon as one of those breaks and players start coming in, you're going to have some difficulty. You need to be there and ready to respond to anybody that tries to kick down a door straight away, immediately. If you don't, then you're just going to run into problems. You definitely don't want to have multiple routes for players to push into you. It's just going to be a mess. Now, if you are in a situation where you need to cover 2 angles and you know people are about to push you, then thermites are your friends. Thermites and arc stars, you can throw that on one of the entrances so that temporarily you only have to focus on one entrance. You can take down that 1v1 and then put your attention to the other entrance. So there's some basic door techniques. I've showed you some routes. Let's now talk about general wall combat. There's a bunch of tips we're going to go into. Rampart's tactical is what I call an inactive ability. It means that you have to stop shooting to use it, and this means that it can often be hard to know when to use it and when not to. If in doubt, just remember that shooting is always the most important thing. Your abilities are there to help you, but don't focus too much on your wall placements. Focus on shooting and movement first, and wall placement second. The first thing I'm going to talk about is wall baiting. If you're out in the open, you can place a wall, then strafe crazily out in the open, and the enemy has an option. They can shoot you or the wall, and usually that gives you the choice to shoot them freely as they shoot your wall, or return to the wall once it's built. This is why you need to strafe crazily, because if they're going to shoot you out in the open, you need to make sure they're going to miss some shots so that you can then go back to your wall and you haven't basically been beamed by a player, right? If it does build, always try to place down another wall as you're traveling to that first wall, so that once again, they're going to now focus on your current built amped wall as you're firing at them. Meanwhile, you've got another amped wall building. Now, obviously, if you're getting targeted by a bunch of people, this is going to be hard. You're never really going to want to take fights out in the open, but there are times where you have to, and this can be a really effective way to sort of take a fight when you have no other choice, right? Another way to sort of wall bait a player is if they're holding an angle, you can place a wall on that angle and then immediately push the other angle. They're going to think that you're going to peek with the wall, and they're either going to shoot the wall or peek that angle expecting you to push it, and then you just flank them from the other side. A lot of the time people don't expect this. Like, think about your walls not only as cover, but decoys. Think of them as ways to trick your opponents into aiming or shooting elsewhere, so they're forced to reload or go behind cover or re-aim their target when they realize that you've taken a different route. Like, as soon as you think of walls as decoys and not just like something you're always going to actively use, the freedom for just outplaying players really goes to a new level with Rampart. Now, another thing is sometimes you'll have the amped wall, they'll break the wall and they'll push you and they'll start like crouch peeking your cover right in front of you, and it can be quite hard to kind of hit a player, especially if they're peeking in and out with a shotgun. Just remove the wall. In this case, yeah, you're out in the open, but they are too, and you know what you're doing. They don't really expect you to suddenly remove the wall. It's like you've just taken their cover away and they're sitting there naked with nothing to do, right? If you get in this situation, just pick up the wall and shoot them. It's going to be so much easier, trust me. Another thing is that if you get the angle right, you can actually place walls from behind cover. You can sort of peek the angle and like rotate your aim so that the wall builds on the other side of cover without actually leaving that cover, which allows you to basically get a free peek. Well, players are going to shoot your wall, and then they're going to have to reload, and then you can peek freely without them actually shooting you. You've got to remember, once again, the wall can work as a decoy here, or if it does build, then you have a free opportunity to peek that angle, which otherwise you just wouldn't have. Another thing, you can also jump and then place walls above you. So let's say on cars or higher cover and terrain, usually people will just shoot this wall, but it's a great decoy for you to then place a wall from another angle once they're busy with the first wall. Now here's another situation. Let's say you're sort of holding a door, you've shot a player right on the other side of that door through your amped wall, and now they're trying to leave. They're trying to escape to go and heal somewhere. Just slide into the wall and remove it whilst sliding, and you'll quickly boost outside and you'll be able to shoot them as they're trying to escape, and they'll probably have their back to you at this point. Not many people expect this. A lot of people expect Rampart to just sit by their walls, especially if they're inside a building. So by sliding and pressing the pick up wall button just before you touch it, you're going to be able to just quickly take down opponents. This is sort of like, I imagine myself as like an angry crab, right? You're holding a building, and every time someone kind of comes along and annoys you, you quickly take down the wall, peek out, shoot them, and then go back into your cover and put up the wall again. And you can just keep doing this, and it really gets on people's nerves, honestly. Now, let's talk about sort of like general wall placements, right? No matter what, you should always have a wall to return to. If you're being pushed, you can just retreat and jump behind your wall and shoot. Another thing is that you don't want to just leave your walls around randomly. Every wall should serve as a purpose. Is it blocking a door? Is it there so you have somewhere to rotate to if your current walls break? Is it there so you can peek different angles? If there's just a wall out in the open, destroy it or pick it up. Don't let it just sit there, because people will use it against you. Now, another thing is, if you actually have 5 walls down, the next walls that you place will start to replace the first wall that you place. So let's say you place wall 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The 6th wall will get rid of wall 1. The 7th wall will get rid of wall 2. So try to remember when and where you place walls, because someone could potentially try to use your wall to their advantage, but you know that the next wall you place is going to remove their wall, and then they're going to be out in the open and really not expecting it. Now let's talk about wall movement. This is another sort of big category for Rampart, and it's something that I'm still learning, and I think that I'll probably come back with another wall movement guide later, but let's talk about this quickly. You can maintain your movement speed by picking up the wall as you slide towards it, as we just explained. There's a very small window where you can pick it up before you actually touch it. I mean, it's not that small. Like, with a bit of practice in the firing range, you'll have this down in just a couple minutes, honestly. This allows you to just slide out of cover when people really don't expect it, boost out with a ton of speed and take people down instead of just sitting behind a wall, you know. There's another version of this that I'm still kind of learning. It's sort of like a stored boost. If you slide, hit the wall, and then just kind of like a fraction of a second later get rid of the wall, even though your momentum stopped, you'll suddenly boost out of the wall. It's kind of a bit strange. It may be able to be used to kind of catch people out off guard. I haven't really practiced enough to learn the mechanics here, but there's definitely something there, so play around with this. You may find it quite useful. Another thing is, if you slide and turn around while sliding, you can place walls and then, you know, go back to your slide and continue wherever you're going. This can be a good way to just, like, once again create a decoy wall, or just create a wall to kind of block bullets whilst you're trying to retreat. Next, let's talk about super gliding on walls. It's pretty hard to master, but once you master it, you can pretty consistently hit super glides, because you're going to be climbing the same height walls the whole time, and it's enough of a movement boost to really surprise your enemies and reach locations you'd otherwise not be able to. To super glide, you need to press crouch and jump at the exact same time as soon as you mantle a ledge. Of course, the movement god Moki Sniper has made a really good guide on this, but I'll go into the basics here. It's a frame specific move, so surprisingly it works easier on lower frame rates. You'll find it easier on console actually. The best way to practice this if you're on PC is to use this command in your launch options and start at 60 FPS. Once you master it, move to 120 FPS and then your highest FPS. I'm now on 180 FPS and I can do it pretty consistently, and also because of ping, I'd actually recommend practicing this in-game as a no-field player instead of in the firing range, because it can kind of mess up with timings of things. If you get the timing down in the firing range and jump into a game, you may find that suddenly you can't do it. Another thing is that because climbing is momentum based, if you don't have a weapon out, you'll climb the wall faster. You typically want to super glide when you have your weapon out, so practice this with a weapon equipped, because once again, if you get the timing right without a weapon and then start using a weapon, actually in the middle of fights and combat, you're not going to be able to pull this off. And finally, once you've finally got the timing down, try not to mess with your settings. You may suddenly wake up one day and find that you can't super glide. If that's the case, check that your settings haven't reset, check that your ping is fine, check you haven't got any packet loss, because this stuff really does mess up with the timing. Right, now let's talk about super gliding and tap strafing. If you're serious about playing Rampart, you're going to want to mess with your advanced keybinds here, because you're going to want to be able to set mouse scroll down to pick up your walls, but also to move forward, because with tap strafing, scrolling down is one of the most efficient ways to do it. There's huge amounts of guides out there for tap strafing at this point. I'm not going to go into the details here, but I will talk about how we can set up a sort of keybind. What you want to do is go to your user profile, saved games, respawn, apex, and local. And then what you're going to do is edit it with a notepad. I've got Notepad++, but normal notepad also works. And you want to scroll down to the bind US standard MWHEELDOWN, and you want to replace whatever is here with this, right? In fact, I will copy and paste this and put it in the description for you, so you can just copy and paste this MWHEELDOWN section. What this will allow you to do is pick up your walls. This script command 5 is the extra character utility, and also move forward so you can scroll to get tap strafing done right. So once again, this will be in the description. One thing to keep in mind if you are on PC, I would suggest having spacebar as jump, because pressing the crouch and spacebar button with one hand is a lot easier for timing purposes. Next, I would say one more tip for movement. If there is a wall that is building or the amp part is broken, you can aim your head to the ground when behind the wall to stop being shot. Just make sure the ADS, or if you're using a med kit or some kind of healing, then it will automatically duck your head down. It's a nice little way to kind of stop taking damage. One final thing before we move on to the turret, you can place the walls and you'll actually be able to block grenades. So let's say you see the grenade indicator, just place the wall in between you and the grenade and it will block it. Sometimes the wall will explode, most of the time it doesn't, so you can just jump back and forth between the wall's sides if you're getting tons of grenades thrown at you. It's a great way to stay alive, and it's really effective to use like at any point wherever you are. Walls block grenades, just remember that. Right, next let's talk about the turret. There's actually quite a lot to talk about here. People don't think that the turret is that good, but the turret is actually really powerful if you use it right. Firstly, if you're on PC, turn your effects to low, so it's easier to shoot targets. The most important rule of the turret is to try and place it down before players can notice it. If you use it whilst they are focused on you, they're likely to destroy the turret walls, so you're not going to be able to use it effectively. There is one exception to this. If you come across a third party and people don't know you're there, you can place down the turret and use it without a wall to get some easy squad wipes. If you're using your wall out in the open, or use it but your wall breaks, look up in the air and shake your aim side to side. There's a short window where the gun starts up where you can't do anything, and doing this will make it harder for players to hit you, and if they do hit you, most bullets will actually hit the turret itself and not you. The longer you fire the turret, the tighter the spread gets, so it's often best to keep firing and just quickly move your aim to any players that may be trying to peek angles. With a tight enough spread, they could peek just for a second, and you could do 100 or more damage. Another opportunity is if a player is blocking a door, you can place the turret down and shoot the door and then shoot them. The turret and the thermite is the only thing in the game that will basically instantly damage any player blocking a door. Every other item will have to destroy the door first. In the thermite's case, you'll also usually have players just back away from the door as soon as the flame goes down, but with the turret, the instant the door breaks, you're going to be shooting anyone behind it. So there's no way for them to escape unless they see the turret placed down, and then they can try and move through the building, but you can still shoot them. If they're in your line of sight, you're going to be able to shoot them. The turret can also be good to hold angles. You can start it up and then just make sure the laser is behind cover so that players don't know the turret's there, and then you can shoot them as soon as people push your cover, and you'll be surprised at how fast you can knock them. Another thing is you can actually get off the turret really fast, and it kind of throws people off, right? They're going to start shooting you as soon as you take pure damage, not to your turret but to actually you. Just press E and hold crouch straight away, and people are gonna just lose line of sight of you for a second, and then you can turn to them and shoot them just on your feet. So that's Rampart. I hope that this guide has been useful. Let me know your thoughts. If you have your own tips, leave them below too. And I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio!